Nelson Mandela.
Ladies and gentlemen, big crowds that turn up, do not bluff me. I know you are coming here, not so much because you're interested in what I'm going to say. You want to see what an old man without a job looks like. Well, here is the old man.
WWF has renamed the WSSD to the World Summit of Shameful Deals.
Get up, stand up. Come on, Vandana. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up.
Emissions of carbon dioxide, the leading greenhouse gas, far from falling as we had hoped they might, have risen by 10% over the last decade.
If they say they don't have enough money to run our schools and supply our water, they definitely should not be wasting it in bringing hundreds of delegates to negotiate on regression.
Get up, stand up.
I think we have to be careful not to expect conferences like this to produce miracles.
Stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up.
We are sitting in the heart of the richest part of not just Johannesburg, but probably all of Africa. And I would imagine this part is richer than large parts of Europe. Now, you are surrounded in Sandton by wealth. Miles away, 15 kilometers away, are townships. One of the key issues about the WSSD is that it has failed to address the direct problems that local groups are addressing. The denial of water rights, the commitments to redistribute land in a serious way, the movement of the landless.
He said, vote, vote. What for? Because we got nothing. It's better when you can take me guys. That will be brown fish. And I'm going on. Just a minute.
This is your house?
I got 2 orphan child. I have no place to sleep into. With that toy. Look, just I take this sponge.
The global extinction crisis, the unprecedented loss of biological diversity, has also accelerated.
In these 10 years, with regard to environment, some progress has been made. Let's face it. There were international agreements in a number of environmental areas. Slow, but that's how negotiations go. And sometimes some countries were saying, no, we are not going to participate.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have now a situation where up to 60% or 70% of populations in cities of the developing world live in unplanned settlements without requisite resources.
Water scarcity, which was just beginning to be a threat to economic development and human prosperity 10 years ago, is now sweeping widely across many parts of the world, particularly here in the continent of Africa.
On development, I think we did not do a good job. There was no progress. There was a stalemate, and there are as many or perhaps even more people below subsistence level as in 1992. Which, by the way, is a shame, because we did have in the 1990s unprecedented economic growth in the world. So it ought to have been possible to indeed carry out an international anti-poverty policy which would have lifted many more people out of Shiva.
Les interprètes n'entendent pas. Et par conséquent, ils n'interprètent pas.
The thing that has changed in the politics of development in the past few years, which NEPAD symbolises, is the idea that it's got to be a partnership between the developed world, the developing world, business, NGOs, civic society, and each of us has our own responsibility.
More people living here than the whole of Senti.
That's probably it.
There are so many people in Alexandra.
As you can see here in Alexandra, there's nothing which has been sustained, even in Soweto. There's no development. Most of people are unemployed. They don't have an access to work. You know, so this summit will bring another starvation in South Africa. So I sat down at the summit and I hate the summit itself because it doesn't address the needs of the poor. It doesn't address the needs of the people, but it only addresses the needs of the bosses, how to make profit or how to generate more profit.
What's killing us most is unemployment. A lot of people are unemployed. It's so unbelievable that there are more people unemployed than people working. Of course, you can't do. I mean, this thing, the legacy of Apartheid has been here for over 40 years. It can't just vanish within 10 years. It will take time.
Why? They were boycotting Afrikaans language as the medium of instruction. Afrikaans language is the mixture of Dutch, French and Malay. Then when they were going to proceed the street, the police blocked the way for the student. A certain policeman fired the tear gas. Then the students started throwing stones back to the police, and that resulted to shootings. Several students were shot, including that young boy Hector Peterson, died at the age of 13. Then the lady running next to the guy who's carrying Hector Peterson is the elder sister of Hector Peterson.
But we've been fighting for 6 months now to achieve a text, which occurred last night, which basically is a tremendous achievement in this process because it doesn't go backwards. It's about the only thing in the text that we have so far where it doesn't go backwards. And in terms of the opportunity for the WSSD to address the climate crisis, that's all in the energy text. And the way it looks right now, that's going to achieve absolutely nothing. Thanks.
And I think keeping a close eye on the negotiations from our point of view has great value in terms of being able to say in the years after we leave Johannesburg who is responsible for what and why we continue to find sustainable development so elusive. So we're not going to give the governments the pleasure of having us not here.
We're pretty frustrated and it's moving very quickly now. But and our ability to influence it is limited to who we can grab in the hallway.
The solution to poverty and environment for them now is more free trade. Make the patient more ill by causing the same disease over and over again.
There's an awful lot of talk, very few agreements. Most of the agreements that were come to represent a step backwards. And if it carries on like this, then this is going to be Rio -10.
government will never do nothing for me until I stood up and fight for myself.
The challenges that face conservation and sustainable development have clearly been identified. We need to deal with inequity and division, to fight against complacency and narrow viewpoints. We must find new solutions. We must break with traditional thinking, catalyze a new vision, and join hands